Retirement homes across New York State are currently contemplating closure, as state Medicaid funding is far less than it has been in past years. Owners and operators of these facilities are currently fighting and advocating for an increase to the 2026 state budget, claiming that without one, they'll have no choice but to close their doors. While a small portion of retirement facilities are privately funded, most of them rely on public funding to drive most of their operations. Some, such as the Hearth on James, have succumbed to the pressures of the crisis and have been forced to close down. Others, such as Syracuse's Menorah Park, are doing everything they can to stay afloat. According to its CEO, Russ D'Amico, the current funding will not be enough to keep the majority of these centers above water.
We're in a very trying position right now. Our margins are very thin. We have to manage everything very closely, and if we don't get some relief, we may have to do some more radical things, such as closing down a unit or things of that nature. The reimbursement through the federal grants stopped 2 years ago, so we're draining our foundation right now, and it's a sad state because we don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. We just keep fighting and trying to compete.
With over 60 of the beds at Menorah Park relying on Medicaid, it costs about $400 a day to take care of each patient, while the retirement home is only receiving about $200 from the government. These rates were actually increased by 5% last year, but Governor Hochul has brought it back down to its previous rates for 2025. On top of that, there are third parties that Russ has to worry about as well.
So we find ourselves upside down and really cutting a lot of corners and trying to care for our residents, not cutting the care ends, but cutting other areas, because we have to pay vendors, we have to pay payroll, we have to pay other expenses that we're not getting reimbursed for.
Part of Chris's frustration also stems from where the Medicaid money is being reallocated to.
The state is paying state prisons over $300 a day to care for the prisoners in prison. The state's paying us $220 a day.
Most of these state-funded retirement facilities operate on a 24-hour-a-day schedule. The $200 in daily reimbursements breaks down to about $8 an hour. While this has been detrimental to both employees and residents of these establishments, Russ points out that it's not the only industry being harmed.
So if we cannot accommodate people here because we don't have the staff or the resources to do it, then that backs up the hospitals. You end up finding people in the hallways, for their whole stay at the hospital because the relief valve is not open because they can't get people to nursing homes.
Russ went on to mention that he and other facility leaders have met with state senators and state assemblymen in the past few weeks to advocate for a higher budget in the coming year. He says that he will continue to do so as he believes he has an obligation to both the people that live at his home and the people that work there. Reporting live from Syracuse, Jack McGuire, NCC News.